Hey gang, sorry about the wind. Also sorry that I didn't get a video out last week. I had some, we'll call it technical difficulties. Had a computer crash, had card format problems, I just had problems. But I'm hopefully back for a little while longer. If you've seen last week, or last video I should say, I candled a whole mess of pheasant eggs, put them in lockdown. So we're going to take you in here and show you the results of that candling and lockdown and what we got for pheasant chicks. I got them in the brooder in the quail room. I'm gonna turn this camera around and let you see them. Those guys right there are the result of that lockdown candling. Look how big they are. These guys are 2 weeks old. That guy there, that one's 3 weeks old, and he's got some weird stuff going on with his beak, but he's still thriving. And since the hatch of these guys, we hatched these guys. These guys here. And these little guys up here. My melanistic just ran that way. So we got all those kids hatched out. Got them all moved into the brooder. Got all the quail that were in the brooder, which we had 88 quail in the brooder. I got 44 in the top, 44 in the bottom. Got a real pretty tuxedo kid. The tuxedo quail are not feather sexable, so we've got to wait until that one matures just a little bit more to know whether it's male or female. But everybody's prospering nicely, everybody's getting along. So the video that I did that had the card and computer failure, I actually put that on 2 different cameras. One camera, the card was fine. You'll see that in the last half of this video. The other camera pooped to bed. Figure we'll check on the Bobo here. He's enjoying some ground time, some downtime, chilling. Let's go check on Sven. There's the Svensson. Sven's just chilling also. We're gonna try and get those 2 boys moved out here this afternoon, but we'll see what the weather does. If it allows it, we'll get her done. That said, the last half of this video, like I said, is recorded a couple of weeks ago, and it is actually what I'm seeing in the world today. But it should be prefaced by a little bit of history, and I do a little bit of a history in it, but it's not horribly accurate. There's a girl down in Texas. She goes by the Shepherdess at theshepherdess.com. And she's the shepherdess at Harmony Farms. she does a podcast and some videos. She raises sheep. But she did a really good history of the dollar. So I'm going to link her stuff in the description box below. So if you want to check out that, it kind of goes into depth of what I'm talking about as far as the history of it goes, but also lay it out in another way that farmers understand. So stay tuned. I'm going to close this one out and spool up the next one. It'll all be on one to YouTube, so you guys won't have to do anything but sit back and enjoy. And thanks a lot. We appreciate you. All right, guys. As promised, so I've got my brooder cage floors cleaned. I've got my sidewalls clean. They're just a little wet still. But what I got to do is clean this rail right here. But while I was cleaning this rail, I wanted to take a minute and talk to you guys about what it is I'm seeing in the world today and my opinion of it. Now, I want to be very clear. It is opinion. Because, you know, I'm just a poor farmer who didn't graduate high school. So bear with me. But we're going to start this conversation with a little bit of a history lesson. And I'll have to fact check it. But again, this is just opinion. So I believe it was 1971. I think the president was Richard Nixon, and the subject is money. So I believe it was 71 where Nixon took us away from the gold standard, us being the United States. Now, I don't know exactly everything about all the ins and outs about it. I don't know them. And I'm not going to pretend I do. But if I'm correct, that meant that we couldn't print more money than we had enough gold to back up. So when other countries bought our debt, they could return those treasury bills in exchange for gold. So we had enough gold to back up our debt. Well, now we're not on the gold standard anymore. So I believe it was 1973. I don't know what president it was. I think it was Nixon, but I'm not going to swear to it. It might have been Johnson or one of them other yahoos. I don't know. Went to Saudi Arabia, went to the Saudis, and made a deal that all oil would be purchased in US dollars. So all oil from that country got purchased in US dollars. That being the case, other countries in the world couldn't get oil without first having the dollar. That is how the United States dollar became the reserve currency of the world. Essentially, we traded being backed by gold to being backed by oil. All right, now that we got that out of the way, fast forward, here we are, 2023. And several countries are now negotiating or have finished negotiations with Saudi Arabia to use some other currency to purchase oil from them. Fine, that's every country's right to do so. But what that means for you and me? Well, what that means is because 50% of our money is in the hands of other countries. If they're able to buy oil in their currency or some other currency, they no longer have a need to carry the US dollar. If they don't have a need to carry the US dollar, the reason that they had the US dollar to begin with was the oil. And they thought, well, since I have this dollar already, we'll just do all of our trade in the dollar. That's not going to be a thing anymore. Hang tight, I got to roll this camera around to the other side so I can clean over there. As I was saying, because that's not a thing anymore, or it's not going to be a thing anymore, all of these countries that currently have US dollars will want to call that in because they don't need them no more. Which means there will be a flood of currency coming back into the United States. Because of that flood of currency, inflation is going to go through the roof. It's just going to happen that way. You can't print a butt ton of money without someone to buy that debt from you. Someone to hold that, basically hold that debt that you borrowed or that the government borrowed, because the Treasury bond is the collateral for that note. Well, it's the US dollar being worth something that is the collateral for that loan, you know, to the tune of 31 trillion with a T dollars. $32 trillion now, I think. I don't know what it is. I know it's a butt ton. That said, that flood of dollars coming back in to the good old United States is going to make everything in our world a lot more expensive. There we go. Because that's going to be a lot more expensive, because the world no longer depends on the United States dollar to pay for goods and services from other countries, that means we're going to have to pay more for everything, which means everybody's belt's going to get a lot tighter. So I've got all these quail here. There are 3 things that are inflation proof or recession resistant. Number 1 is land. Land will always become more valuable. It doesn't matter. It will always be worth more later than what you paid for it now. Just how it goes. It may go down, but it's always going to go back up a lot. Number 2 is precious metals. Precious metals fluctuates up and down. Gold, silver, those will always be a version of currency. It's been that way throughout our entire human history. Gold has been a precious commodity. Silver is less precious, but it's still a precious metal. And the third thing is livestock. Livestock enables the bartering system to take effect. It is the catalyst for trade. Food is always a catalyst for trade. People are hungry. You've got this, I've got that, let's make a deal. Been that way through entire human history, and it's not going to change. So my question for you is, what is your catalyst? Do you have land? Do you have livestock? Do you have precious metals? Those are the 3 primary things that will be worth something during a recession, during an economic crash, during any of this stuff. And what I'm seeing is the petrodollar's on its way out. At the same time that's happening, energy has gone up 18%, I believe it is. Food has gone up 22%. Now I'm guessing on these numbers. I haven't done the full research of it. Which means that if you bought solar panels last year, those solar panels are worth 22% more to you than they were when you bought them. Because your power bill is much less. Unless you got shanked by some crooked company. It happens. Now, whenever you do that, whenever you think about it, if you get land, if you get animals, if you get precious metals, you have a leg to stand on. So, be prepared, because inflation is going to get a lot worse, and I don't see any way anybody's going to make it out. So, if you prepare smartly, you can acquire enough of a nest egg of livestock, land, or precious metals to push you through to the next time we start our upward trend. Be prepared, don't be scared, we'll get through this together. Like, share, subscribe like I told you earlier, and we do appreciate you.